Good morning and welcome. Today is Monday, April the 28th, 2025. And today's reading from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo is titled Wu Feng. In the end, it is not enough to think what we know. We must live it. For only by living it can love show itself as the greatest principle. The way that heat allows ice to thaw and irrigate the earth, so our capacity to embody what we know, our quiet need to bring what lives within into accord with how we meet the days. This ancient act of integrity allows love to show itself as the deepest sort of gravity. There was a quiet man whose life-changing moment of such courage is inspiring. He was Wu Feng, a Manchurian diplomat of the 1700s who was posted with an aboriginal tribe in the outskirts of Taiwan. Wu Feng befriended the aboriginal chief, whose tribe beheaded one of its members every year as a form of sacrifice. Each year, Wu Feng pleaded with all of his compassion and reverence for life that the chief put an end to this custom. The chief would listen carefully and respectfully as Wu Feng would plead. And then after listening and bowing, the chief would summon the chosen tribe member and without hesitation, behead him. Finally, after living with the tribe for 25 years, Wu Feng once more pleaded with the chief to stop this senseless killing. But this time, when the tribe member was called forth, Wu Feng took his place and said, "If you will kill this time, it will be me." The chief stared long into his friend's eyes, and having grown to love Wu Feng, he could not kill him. From that day, the practice of beheading stopped. Of course, Wu Feng could have been killed, but his courage shows us that at a certain point, how we live inside takes priority. At a certain point for each of us, talk evaporates, and words cannot bring love into the open. Only the soul's presence coming from us can attract the soul's presence in others. So that's the end of the reading. And at the end of every passage, Mark Nepo asks a series of questions or gives a little instruction on how to, take more of this passage in. It's a little meditation at times. And he asks that as you breathe, to be honest with yourself and to see things in your life as they are. And is there a situation in your life in which part of you is being sacrificed, like the member of the aboriginal tribe? Are you repeatedly being asked to deny who you are in some relationship? If so, can the Wu Feng in you stop talking and make itself present? If the answer is yes, simply honor that such a spirit embodiment lives within you. And for today, simply ask the question. Trust your spirit to know when and how to do so. Each day before the noise of the world enters, and I'm sure you can hear a little bit of it in the background, I am sitting out back and there are some birds in the back, and there's a little humming from my neighbor's compressor, and I thought, oh gosh, but this is the world that we live in, and I could gloss this over and make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to your eyes and ears, but this is life. And I always seek to aim true, which is why for my first video, Awaken with Elisa, I wanted to give you part of my morning ritual. And this is it. So each day, before the noise of the world enters, I take whatever quiet time, this was a very quiet time, to meet myself where I am. And that's opening my eyes and where am I, in a sense? How is Elisa doing today? And a lot of times, I don't really know until I start writing. There's that famous quote, I don't know what I'm thinking until I read what I write. That's me in a nutshell. And I open the book of Awakening and I listen for the lesson the day has to offer. And sometimes it coincides beautifully, and other times it's just like, oh, I don't know. Am I relating to this? And those are the passages where I have had some of my biggest breakthroughs. You really have to sit with it. Sometimes it just haunts me through the day, what I've read. But I really try and meet the lesson and not gloss over it. Because I know that sometimes when I'm uncomfortable, it's not just that I wanted to hear something else or read something else. It's that somewhere, and I don't know this until I start writing, somewhere in there's something where the lesson is buried. Today's passage was one I had never truly read before. I don't remember it. And I thought, well, I didn't read it before because I would have made notes in it. And you've seen, I probably somewhere here where I do write in my book, or you can see highlights in there. I have a gold crayon that I love to use, a wax crayon. I've carried this book close to me for more than a decade. It was as if today's reading waited for me until I was ready. I think that also happens sometimes when I go to take a yoga class or teach a yoga class. It's like, oh, this was just what I needed today. Or the teacher said something that I needed to hear today. Wu Feng's story reminds me that it isn't enough to know what is right or to speak it. We must live it. I think we must have the courage at the right time to stop sacrificing parts of ourselves, either for acceptance, out of tradition, or from fear. To live fully, we must trust the quiet voice inside that knows when it's time to step forward. And I went back, I turned the page back to April the 27th, because the quote on April the 27th, which was "Let there be light," was just trust yourself, then you will know how to live. Again, aiming true. Today, as I was writing, I was asking myself, where have I been sacrificing a part of myself? And where can I let my soul's presence live more fully in the open? It's not always easy. It's not always easy it does take courage to grow up and be who you are because of the traditions, because of the fear, because of wanting acceptance. But I think as you begin to step more fully into your life, you begin to yearn for these quiet times. Maybe you feel that same pull to not just live by words, but by the heart's gravity. Sometimes after I get done writing, I have so many markers in this book I've carried it around for a decade. I've used it in my yoga teachings. And sometimes I just like to go back and look at what notes are in there. And that seemed to be what I was doing this morning. And I have a bookmark in there that I created through my diamond painting. And I look at things that are in the corner, things that I've written, and things I just want to go back and remember, touch, feel. It grounds me even a little bit more. So I thank you for joining me this morning. And I'd like to invite you to breathe through those exercises, to take a pen and write just whatever's floating on top of your brain, just to siphon that off, see what comes up. And as you write, even for longer lengths, you really do get down to what is going on. You really can meet yourself where you are in those moments. So I invite you to awaken with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great beginning of this week. Live with courage.